In the summer of 1943, the skies over Europe rumbled with the sound of battle. American and German fighters danced in a deadly ballet, each seeking dominance in the air. During this turbulent time, a seemingly trivial development unfolded, a spark plug swap that many dismissed as inconsequential. It was a routine maintenance task, yet it transformed the P-47 Thunderbolt into a formidable fighter, capable of astonishing agility and climb rate. How could something so minor tip the scales of aerial warfare? This question exposes a paradox. In a conflict defined by grand strategies and massive machinery, it was often the small innovations that made the greatest difference. This episode isn't about the mechanics of a spark plug, it's about the invisible force that decides wars. To understand the significance of the spark plug swap, one must first delve into the context of World War II. The early 1940s were marked by intense competition in technology and tactics. The Allies and Axis powers believed they were locked in a contest of superior engineering and military doctrine. The United States, relying on its industrial capabilities, aimed to outproduce its adversaries, while Germany emphasized precision engineering and tactical innovation. The P-47 Thunderbolt, known for its ruggedness and firepower, represented American resolve, even as its performance was deemed adequate rather than exceptional. At this juncture, the P-47 faced challenges. Its heavy frame and robust engine made it a powerful aircraft, but its climb rate did not match that of its rivals, such as the German Focke-Wulf FW-190. Military manuals of the time emphasized speed and altitude as crucial factors in aerial combat, leading to a prevailing belief that performance was primarily determined by the aircraft's design and engine power. As a result, many considered the idea of a spark plug swap to be a trivial adjustment, not worthy of serious consideration in the grander scheme of war. The prevailing doctrines taught pilots and engineers that the key to success in the air was mastery of complex maneuvers and superior firepower. The concept of fine-tuning smaller components was largely overlooked. As American engineers worked on the P-47, they focused on major modifications and enhancements, all while the enemy made tactical adjustments based on their own understanding of aircraft capabilities. This gap in perception would become a critical blind spot. On the German side, the Luftwaffe was confident in its technological superiority. They had long believed that their engineering prowess would secure victory. The German forces underestimated the American ability to innovate and adapt. They considered the Allies' aircraft to be bulky and less capable, dismissing the P-47 as merely a brute force rather than a platform with untapped potential. This underestimation would prove costly as the war progressed. As the conflict escalated, the importance of aerial dominance became starkly clear. Air superiority was crucial for ground operations, and both sides sought to achieve it through various means. The Allies began to realize that small improvements could yield significant results, but this understanding was not widely accepted at first. Many in the military hierarchy remained focused on grand strategies, believing that the war would be won through sheer production numbers and large-scale tactics. Against this backdrop, the spark plug swap emerged as a critical element of the P-47's evolution. Engineers at Republic Aviation began to experiment with different spark plugs, seeking to improve ignition and overall engine performance. This minor adjustment, often dismissed in the grand narrative of war, became a silent revolution that would redefine the aircraft's capabilities. Yet the broader military community continued to overlook such innovations, focusing instead on more conspicuous advancements. In summary, the context of World War II was characterized by a struggle for technological supremacy, with both the Allies and Axis powers believing they had the upper hand. The P-47 Thunderbolt, while a symbol of American strength, was initially viewed as underperforming in specific aspects. The emphasis on major changes and the dismissal of minor adjustments created a fertile ground for innovation that would ultimately play a pivotal role in the air war. This historical backdrop reveals the limitations of conventional wisdom in warfare. The P-47's transformation through seemingly minor modifications exemplifies how critical innovations can be overlooked in the pursuit of grand strategies. As the war unfolded, the lessons learned from these adjustments would reshape not only the P-47 but the future of military aviation itself. The German forces possessed a blind spot that proved crucial in the war's aerial engagements. They underestimated the adaptability of the American forces, particularly in their ability to innovate on aircraft like the P-47 Thunderbolt. This underestimation stemmed from a belief in their own technological superiority. Germany had cultivated a reputation for advanced engineering and cutting-edge designs, leading them to dismiss the potential of modifications in enemy aircraft. The Luftwaffe's confidence often clouded their judgment. They perceived the P-47 as a bulky aircraft that lacked the finesse of their fighters. This misconception allowed them to overlook the ongoing improvements and innovations being made by American engineers. They failed to recognize that even minor changes could have a significant impact on performance. The German command believed that they could rely on their superior tactics and technology, which blinded them to the evolving capabilities of their adversaries. Furthermore, the Germans had a rigid adherence to established doctrines. They believed that success depended on a combination of pilot skill and advanced machinery. This led to a lack of flexibility in adapting to changes in enemy tactics or technology. When American engineers began to implement small but effective innovations, the German command remained skeptical, viewing such adjustments as irrelevant in the larger context of aerial warfare. This cultural error extended beyond technical assessments. The German military mindset was heavily influenced by past successes. They had achieved significant victories early in the war, leading to a belief that their strategies were infallible. This hubris prevented them from considering that the Allies were capable of learning from their own experiences and improving upon them. The spark plug swap was one such example of this learning curve, but it remained invisible to the German forces. Additionally, the Germans were focused on immediate tactical advantages, often overlooking the long-term implications of their strategies. They expected the Allies to remain stagnant, relying on their established methods while they continued to innovate. This assumption created a disconnect, as the Americans were actively seeking ways to enhance their aircraft's performance, even if those enhancements were incremental. The psychological impact of this blind spot was profound. As the war progressed, American pilots began to experience improved performance from their aircraft due to innovations like the spark plug swap. Meanwhile, German pilots, confident in their superiority, found themselves increasingly challenged in the skies. This disparity in perceptions created a psychological edge for the Americans, who were aware of the ongoing improvements to their aircraft. In essence, the decisive factor that led to the German forces' downfall was their inability to recognize the value of incremental innovation. They failed to adapt to the evolving capabilities of the P-47 and its pilots. While they concentrated on overwhelming firepower and complex tactics, the Americans focused on refining their equipment and maximizing performance through seemingly insignificant adjustments. The German forces' underestimation of the Allies' ability to innovate created a critical gap in their understanding of the aerial battlefield. They were locked in a mindset that valued grand strategies over small improvements, ultimately leading to their miscalculation. This blind spot would haunt them as the P-47 continued to evolve, marking a turning point in the air war. This cultural and mental error underscores the importance of adaptability in warfare. The P-47's transformations, driven by minor technical adjustments, demonstrated that success often lies in the details. The German forces, caught in their own narrative of superiority, were unable to see the emerging threat posed by the evolving capabilities of their adversaries. The spark plug swap that transformed the P-47 Thunderbolt was not just a minor adjustment, it represented a significant technological shift that enhanced combat effectiveness. Three key pillars defined this transformation: improved ignition efficiency, enhanced engine reliability, and increased performance at altitude. Each of these factors contributed to a marked improvement in the aircraft's operational capabilities. Improved ignition efficiency was perhaps the most immediate impact of the new spark plugs. By enhancing the combustion process within the engine, these plugs allowed for a more complete burn of the fuel-air mixture. This resulted in increased power output, enabling the P-47 to climb at a more rapid rate than before. With a better ignition system, pilots could rely on more consistent engine performance, especially during critical combat situations. Enhanced engine reliability was another crucial factor. The new spark plugs reduced the likelihood of engine failures, a common concern among pilots. In aerial combat, reliability is paramount. A malfunction could mean the difference between life and death. The P-47's newfound dependability provided pilots with greater confidence in their aircraft, allowing them to focus on engagement rather than worrying about mechanical issues. Increased performance at altitude was a game-changer for the P-47. With the new spark plugs, the aircraft performed better in the thin air of higher altitudes where many dogfights occurred. This capability enabled American pilots to engage effectively with German fighters, who had previously enjoyed an advantage in climb rate and maneuverability. The P-47 became a more formidable adversary, capable of taking the fight directly to the enemy. The combination of these improvements created a virtuous cycle of performance enhancement. As pilots experienced the benefits of the new spark plugs, they were able to employ more aggressive tactics, further exploiting the P-47's capabilities. This newfound performance translated into real-world advantages in combat scenarios, allowing American forces to secure air superiority in increasingly contested environments. However, the German forces lacked the ability to compensate for this shift. Their focus on larger technological advancements led them to overlook the significance of such incremental improvements. As American engineers continued to refine the P-47, the gap in performance widened, leaving the Luftwaffe struggling to keep pace. The Germans, confident in their existing designs, failed to recognize the importance of adaptability in the face of evolving threats. The P-47's modifications through the spark plug swap exemplified how seemingly minor changes could have profound implications in warfare. These advancements not only improved the aircraft's performance, but also shifted the dynamics of aerial combat. The American strategy of embracing small innovations allowed them to outmaneuver and outlast their adversaries in the skies. In conclusion, the spark plug swap was a pivotal moment in the evolution of the P-47 Thunderbolt. The improvements in ignition efficiency, engine reliability, and performance at altitude transformed the aircraft into a more lethal fighting machine. This technological shift underscored the importance of continuous innovation in warfare, a lesson that would resonate throughout the conflict and beyond. The ability to adapt and refine equipment is a testament to the ingenuity of the American engineers and pilots. The spark plug swap was more than just a mechanical adjustment. It was a strategic advantage that reshaped the aerial landscape of World War II. As the war progressed, the consequences of this transformation would become increasingly evident in the skies over Europe. The turning point for the P-47 Thunderbolt came during the air battles over Normandy in June 1944. As Allied forces prepared for D-Day, the skies were filled with tension. American pilots were eager to demonstrate the capabilities of their aircraft against the German Luftwaffe. On June 6th, the Allied invasion was launched, and the P-47s took to the air, their engines roaring as they ascended into the blue expanse. In the early hours of the invasion, American pilots engaged in fierce dogfights with German fighters. The P-47s, equipped with the newly modified spark plugs, exhibited remarkable agility and climb rates. Pilots reported feeling an immediate difference in performance, allowing them to gain altitude quickly as they dove into combat. The German pilots, accustomed to expecting an advantage, were shocked by the P-47's newfound capabilities. As the battle raged on, the turning point came when a group of P-47s intercepted a formation of Focke-Wulf FW-190s. The American pilots, emboldened by their aircraft's enhanced performance, launched a coordinated attack. One pilot, Lieutenant Tom Henderson, recalled the moment vividly. "We were able to climb faster and engage them on our terms. It was exhilarating." The German pilots, once confident in their superiority, began to realize that the P-47s were not the slow, cumbersome aircraft they had assumed. As the skirmishes unfolded, they struggled to maintain their usual tactics. The psychological shock of facing a more agile adversary began to sink in. Reports indicated that German pilots were increasingly hesitant, recognizing that they were no longer guaranteed victory in the skies. The outcome of these aerial engagements had immediate consequences for the ground invasion. The P-47s provided critical air support, targeting German positions and disrupting supply lines. The combination of improved performance and effective tactics allowed American forces to gain a foothold on the beaches of Normandy. The success of the P-47 in this critical moment underscored the importance of the spark plug swap. As the battle progressed, the impact of the P-47's transformation became clear. The aircraft's ability to climb rapidly and engage effectively shifted the dynamics of air superiority. American pilots capitalized on this advantage, changing the tide of aerial combat in favor of the Allies. The psychological impact on the German forces was profound. They had entered the battle with confidence, only to find themselves confronted by a transformed adversary. The realization that they could no longer rely on their previous advantages marked a significant turning point in the campaign. In the aftermath of the Normandy invasion, the P-47 Thunderbolt emerged as a symbol of American resilience and innovation. The spark plug swap, once dismissed as a minor adjustment, had played a pivotal role in the success of Allied air operations. The lessons learned from this engagement would resonate throughout the remainder of the war. The battles over Normandy not only demonstrated the immediate effectiveness of the P-47, but also highlighted the importance of adaptability in warfare. The German forces had underestimated the significance of small innovations, and this miscalculation would come back to haunt them as the war continued. The success of the P-47 Thunderbolt during World War II can be quantified through several key metrics that illustrate its impact on the air war. First, the production numbers of the P-47 were staggering. Over 15,000 units were manufactured, making it one of the most produced American fighters of the war. This scale of production allowed the Allies to deploy P-47s en masse, overwhelming their adversaries in the skies. The increased climb rate resulting from the spark plug swap was another critical statistic. Pilots reported an average climb rate improvement of 1,000 feet per minute, allowing them to reach engagement altitude faster than before. This meant that pilots could intercept enemy aircraft more effectively, asserting dominance in critical airspace. Moreover, the operational range of the P-47 also expanded. With the new spark plugs, fuel efficiency improved, allowing the aircraft to sustain longer missions. This enhancement translated to an increase in combat radius by approximately 20%. Pilots could engage in extended sorties, providing essential support for ground forces without the constant need for refueling. The effectiveness of the P-47 in combat was reflected in the kill-to-loss ratio. By late 1944, American pilots flying the P-47 had achieved a remarkable ratio of 4.1 against German aircraft. This statistic highlighted the effectiveness of the P-47 in aerial engagements and underscored its superiority in the evolving air war. Additionally, the ability to carry payloads of up to 2,500 pounds of bombs and rockets made the P-47 a versatile platform. It played a crucial role in ground attack missions, targeting enemy installations and supply lines. The sheer firepower of the P-47 contributed to the overall success of Allied operations in Europe. The combination of these numbers illustrates a clear narrative of victory. The P-47's climb rate improvements, increased operational range, and effective engagement ratios all contributed to the Allies' ability to assert control over the skies. The American strategy of continuous innovation, exemplified by the spark plug swap, yielded tangible results in combat. Furthermore, the P-47's performance translated directly into strategic advantages for the Allies. Greater aerial dominance allowed for more effective ground support missions, disrupting enemy operations and aiding in the advancement of Allied troops. The numbers clearly demonstrate that the spark plug swap was not a minor adjustment. It was a decisive factor in the outcome of the air war. Finally, the production and operational metrics of the P-47 serve to underscore the importance of adaptability and innovation in warfare. The ability to implement small changes, such as the spark plug swap, led to significant enhancements in performance. This outcome would shape the future of military aviation and set a precedent for future conflicts. In summary, the arithmetic of victory for the P-47 Thunderbolt is represented by impressive production numbers, improved performance metrics, and effective engagement ratios. These statistics reflect the aircraft's transformative impact on the air war during World War II, illustrating how seemingly minor innovations can lead to substantial advantages in combat. The consequences of the P-47's transformation extended far beyond the immediate battles of World War II. The spark plug swap not only marked a shift in American air power, but also contributed to a broader re-evaluation of military doctrine. As the war progressed, the success of the P-47 illustrated the importance of incremental innovation and adaptability in achieving military objectives. The defeat of the German Luftwaffe highlighted the cracks in their previously unchallenged dominance. The perception that technological superiority would guarantee victory was shattered as the Allies demonstrated their capability to innovate and adapt. This shift in mindset forced military leaders on both sides to reconsider the value of continuous improvement in their equipment and strategies. In the post-war period, the lessons learned from the P-47's evolution influenced the development of future military aircraft. Designers and engineers began to prioritize adaptability and incremental enhancements, recognizing that even small changes could yield significant improvements in performance. This shift laid the groundwork for the technological advancements that would characterize the Cold War era. Moreover, the P-47's legacy persisted in the growing emphasis on air superiority as a critical component of military strategy. The recognition that control of the skies was essential for successful ground operations became a cornerstone of military planning. As a result, air forces around the world began to invest in research and development to ensure that they could compete in the evolving landscape of aerial warfare. The P-47 also became a symbol of American resilience and ingenuity. Its success amidst the challenges of war served as a source of inspiration for engineers and military personnel alike. The ability to adapt and innovate in the face of adversity became a central theme in American military culture, shaping the approach to future conflicts. In conclusion, the impact of the spark plug swap was profound, leading to a re-evaluation of military doctrine and strategy. The lessons learned from the P-47's transformation influenced the design and development of aircraft in the years following the war. The emphasis on adaptability and innovation became a guiding principle that would shape the future of military aviation. The P-47 Thunderbolt's legacy serves as a testament to the power of small changes in the face of monumental challenges. As military leaders reflected on the lessons of World War II, they recognized that success often lies in the details. The spark plug swap became emblematic of a broader understanding of the importance of continuous improvement in warfare. This legacy continues to resonate in modern military practices, where adaptability and innovation remain crucial to success. The P-47's journey from an adequate aircraft to a formidable fighting machine underscores the transformative power of ingenuity and the need to embrace change in the pursuit of victory. Revisiting the initial question about the spark plug swap reveals a deeper truth. It wasn't the best aircraft that won, but the best approach to innovation and adaptability. The P-47 Thunderbolt's transformation through seemingly minor adjustments reshaped the course of aerial warfare during World War II. As we consider the lessons learned from this experience, one must ask, how will future conflicts be influenced by the balance between technology and adaptability?